So moving on to the bit where you meet Ludo next, don't you? But there's a bit when you just hear Ludo's cries before you see him. And that's a bit where Hoggle
runs off.
Craps himself.
Are you my friend or not?
No, I'm not. Hoggle ain't no one's friend. He looks after himself, like everyone. Yeah. Hoggle is Hoggle's friend.
Hoggle? You coward!
And you'll have friends like that in life. Of course, probably most of them. And he says something like, I look after myself, or Hoggle is Hoggle's friend, like everyone.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Just one little tiny line from a kid's Jim Henson film. It's really quite deep, really.
Yeah.
Because obviously some people are more, what's the word when you're actually look out for other, altruistic.
Yes.
Some people are much more altruistic than others. But at the end of the day, like nearly every living thing, every little insect, every plant, if you try and crush it, it will do anything it can to survive.
Yeah.
There are some men that will fall on a grenade to save their buddies. So it's not everyone in the world, but nearly everyone. They are looking out for themselves. They're your best friend, and yet they'll leave you in the lurch in a split second. That is such an important life lesson.
Yeah,
I think.
and Hoggle is not actually capricious.
No,
he's just,
and he beats himself up about it badly. He didn't want to do that. But
he's been embittered by betrayal and relative inferiority over his life, and so he's suppressed his urge to actually care for people. And it's only in her being forgiving, it's only in her giving him an out, basically, like we said before with conflict between the spouse, for example, that he grows to have that fire in his belly of like, let's go storm the Goblin City then. I'm going to act on your behalf. And should you need us, I'll wait downstairs for you. You know, it's really endearing from that point on,
Yeah. I mean, I really like Hoggle, even though he's horrible for most of the film. He's pretty horrible, but he's a very human character. It's a funny thing to say about Hoggle.
Which is funny because he's one of the most... He's one of the least in many respects. I mean, there's a great story about... They had a Hoggle mask and they left it in the luggage compartment of a plane. And the baggage handlers were going through lost property. I think it's at like Atlanta airport or something. And they found the mask. And one of the baggage handlers like screamed as soon as he picked it up because he thought it was someone's like cut off face, like Ed Gein style. And now it's in the airport lost property museum because he's so grotesque that you wouldn't almost give him the time of day if you just met him killing the fairies and you'd had that preconception of the fairies are beautiful things. But he's actually a really heartwarming little charming character.
So we get on to the Ludo bit.
Yeah.
And I think Ludo's an interesting figure, an interesting character. But when you first see him, obviously he's a massive, giant, monstrous creature. He's like a monstrous creature. You realise almost immediately that he's very, very...
gentle.
Yeah. He's not a danger.
He's like a benevolent were-orangutan.
Yeah. But he looks like and sounds like, to begin with, a terrifying beast.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you see, as you mentioned, these little goblins that sort of half lynching him with these tiny little blind nipper things.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting allegory for how sometimes in life, someone that's physically massive or even actually quite powerful, they can be, if there's enough little nippers around them, they can string you up by your feet and lynch you. Just because you were a bit credulous, just because you were a bit slow, just because you were a tiny bit...
Well, it's like
you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, no, I do, because this feeds into the goblins are leftists analogy we're running with here, is that don't leave your friends hanging out to dry by the cancel culture mob, because even the biggest Goliath of society can be taken down by these basically little blind little bots with these prodding sticks that only cause mild inconvenience as well. Like they're painful, but they're not going to kill him. They're just tormenting him for no reason. It's only because she has the courage to pick up a rock and chuck it that they become blind, and then they end up like turning on each other, literally, because they can't see, so they're just jabbing each other and screaming and running off. So don't leave a person, even if you think they look titanic, like able to defend themselves. Nobody can help each other in isolation. That's why, in many respects, when I said at the start, this is a refutation of the noble savage Rousseauian idea that it's just the power within you, it's a civilization oppressing you. No, you can't exist in a state of nature atomized from everyone else. We're social beings, we're reliant on each other. So come to each other's defense, even if you look strong enough to handle it.
Yeah, no man is an island.
Yeah.
And the idea that I think it's just occurred to me, but those little nipper things trying to take down Ludo's, don't know why it's just occurred to me, but it's something like a Twitter storm.
Yeah.
It's like, they're actually not doing any damage actually at all.
No, it's just a mild sting to your ego. Yeah,
yeah, and it's funny when she gets rid of them by throwing rocks for him, and she walks up to him and he's like growling or making a monster noise.
Now stop that. Is that any way to treat someone who's trying to help you?
She's grown up a little bit.
Yeah.
She's grown up a little bit.
Assertive.
That's a child wouldn't do that. Wouldn't be able to do that.
No,
probably.
she sounds like a mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She does absolutely. And she also says a great line. Again, it's almost too on the nose, but she says, "I hope you aren't what you seem to be." 'Cause he seems to be a monster.
Yeah.
She says, "I sure hope you're not what you seem to be," and he's not.
Yeah.
And again, you might find that in life. Most people are like Hoggle, but sometimes you will find a real friend.
Yeah.
A real friend
Like
who will
rescue
be
dog
there
people.
through thick and thin for you.
Yeah, they've been through a bit too much, and if you corner them, they might be eager to buy it. But if you're patient with them, if you coax them out of the place they've backed themselves into, they're only in a corner because they want the back against the wall, so someone can stab them in the back. Then you might find that they're a really rewarding companion over time. So have some patience with people and don't take things for granted.
And you can save them with relatively easy. Like he's in his own oubliette at that point, isn't he? He's in
Yeah.
a type of oubliette, and she saves him from it. And it wasn't hard for her.
No.
And again, I think it can go a long way where just a kind word or something, or a little bit of encouragement to someone can absolutely turn their life around. I remember, just a little tiny anecdote from my own life.
Please do.
I remember when I was doing GCSEs when I was at school.
Yeah.
There was one particular GCSE that I had really no confidence in myself for. And I remember saying to the teacher, do you think it's plausible, it's likely that I can even achieve a C? And looking back on it now, I was so vulnerable in that moment, so unbelievably vulnerable. If he'd said, no, I don't think so,
Yeah.
my confidence in that subject would have plummeted.
You'd have self-sabotaged.
Absolutely, yeah, maybe. But he said, no, I think you've got it in you. And instantly, I was like, okay, I can do it.
Yeah, I had a similar
He got me out of a little oubliette there,
Yeah.
and it cost him one line.
Yeah.
It cost him a couple of words.
Well, when I was like 16, 17, it's funny you brought up the first girlfriend analogy, because my first girlfriend was quite a dark person. And
Welcome
I was
to the club.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's like most comics being depressed, and they bring something insightful from that. But around the time of my GCSEs and A levels, and I was pretty socially isolated in that. And it was just that my peers in the theatrics and performing arts department had some patience with me and were willing to afford me opportunities. Like they gave me a showrunner opportunity, funny enough, for Beauty and the Beast, and we did a bunch of shows for that. It was a lot of responsibility for something I was it was intimidating, but I'm so glad I did it. And I met wonderful people through their friends that stayed with me for a couple of years. And it was just because they had that little bit of patience, that little bit of encouragement. They saw something in me that I didn't see in myself that made me come leaps and bounds in confidence, and made me able to sit on camera and still be around. So yeah, you're dead right on that point. I love that.
Yeah.
So then what ends up happening is obviously she goes through the door knockers.
Yeah.
She falls through the pit.
There's one thing I want to say about those knockers. Just one thing. They're great. No good.
Yeah.
Can't hear you. They're great characters.
Yeah.
Great characters. Jim Henson. So good.
Like a bickering married couple.
Yeah. But there's one bit when she wants to knock on the door and she has to put the knocker back in the guy's mouth, and he's like, no, I don't want it back in my mouth. And she pinches his nose to force him. She uses a bit of force there. Again, a child wouldn't do that.
No.
She's sort of coming of age. She's like, I've got agency of my own. I've got power of my own. I can force events a little bit, just a little bit. And I'll have the confidence in myself. She even has like a wry smile when she realises she could do it.
Yeah, you're right.
Just a little thing there, but again, didn't pick up on that when I was a child.
Yeah.
But it's there. I really do think it is there.
Yeah. And then you've got the bit where Jareth tempts Hoggle into taking the peach, threatening to drop him in the bog of stench.
Yeah.
Prince of the land of stench is just a fantastic line. And you'd show again that capriciousness of he's really resisting not wanting to, but he feels intimidated as a coward. And it's mainly because he denies that he is attached to Sarah, that he cares about her, because he goes, oh, have you come to think this girl cares for you, Hoggle? Oh, come, Hogbrain. Do you think she'll care for a disgusting little worm like you? And because his confidence is knocked, he's made ripe for ideological capture. But no, you should care about people. It's the bonds of family which keep you from falling prey to becoming the little gnome that drives the cleaner's machine. But yeah, my favourite bit is then after that, which is the Chili Down song.
Oh, well, there's one
Go
just
for it.
bit before that. Is when they go through the door with the knockers, and they're in sort of a scary
Forest bit.
scary forest bit, and Ludo, the giant thing, Ludo, says he's scared. And again, you can have someone that's sort of there for you, that's big and strong and powerful, and has genuinely got your back.
Yeah.
And they're scared and has suddenly disappeared. Because she turns around and he just falls through the
you're
floor.
right,
And she turns around and her rock, if you like, it's a funny thing to say because he controls the rocks, but her rock, her new friend who really is there for her, got her best interest at heart, he's suddenly not there now. He's suddenly disappeared against his own will, but that's not the point. The point is you're on your own suddenly. You thought you had some sort of foundation, building some sort of foundation, and boom, life takes it away from you. You're on your own. You're back to square one. In life, often you'll find yourself back at square one. And you're like, okay, well, at least I didn't go straight to the castle. At least I've got some sort of basis to build up again.
Yeah, I'm not nihilistic because I don't have to re-examine all my ethics when I'm hit with a traumatic event. I can continue soldiering on, knowing I will find the right path even if I've been slightly derailed.
Yeah.
And she does get derailed into the Fireys, which are like they're genuinely kind of creepy when you're younger. When I'm older, I can only describe them as a band of satanic degenerate communists because they don't want any possessions. They literally say, "Don't got no problems, ain't got no suitcase, ain't got no clothes to worry about, or ain't got no real estate or jewelry or gold mines to hang me up." It doesn't even rhyme, but they're then, much like the Liberal Project tells you to remove yourself of all constraints, which she's slowly adopting. And by that point, she isn't taken in by it. She just thinks they're gross. Get off me, I'm running from you. They literally detach themselves, their body parts, and they're interchangeable, and they're swapping it around, and they're damaging themselves. They're throwing their eyes out, their arms and legs, they're falling over, they're taking their heads off. It does remind me of how, much like Mao said, nature is a revolutionary enemy, and the modern trans activists treat it as biology as a revolutionary enemy. There is no constraint that will hold you, literally up until reality or your own corporeal form. And it's that sort of mentality of we're going to be irresponsible, party endlessly, and everything is facilitated to my will that leads you to be this weird, furry, animal from the Muppets looking creature that has no belongings, no attachment to anyone, and you're literally ripping your own limbs off. Yeah, it's the end point of liberalism are the Fireys. And I'll stand by that.
They say, we'll show you a good time. Even when you think up is down, and when you think down is up, or when down looks up, don't worry about anything, we'll show you a good time. I think, and there's this allegory is all the way through the film many times, but here is probably the most powerful one, is that people will try and lead you astray. You can fall in with a bad gang. I think the Fire Gang, it's you can fall in with a group of friends when you're a kid, when you're a teenager, whatever, or even when you're an adult. You can fall in with a group they're bad. They're bad. It's great that Sarah realizes almost immediately. These
guys are creepy.
Yeah, and I need to get away from them. They're bad for me. But I think they're it's a metaphor for don't have friends that are evil, really.
Yeah. Well, there's a genuinely predatory paragraph that was taken out of the lyrics because Bowie wrote this, but he didn't sing in it. One of the ensemble singers, actually, if you can hear the Rastafarian accent tinge,
I was going to say that. Yeah.
I think they're not all identified, but one of the singers I know from this is Danny John Jules. Cat from Red Dwarf.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that might be him. I can't, because obviously you can put on voices, and he's quite a good little actor. But one of the paragraphs in here that they didn't sing in the film is drive you crazy, really lazy, eye rolling, funky strolling, ball playing, hip swaying, trouble making, booty shaking, tripping, passing, jumping, bouncing, driving, styling, creeping, pouncing, shooting, screaming. Double dealing, rocking, rolling, and reeling with the making sex appealing. Can you dig our groovy feeling? Now, if that was sung to Sarah in the film, that would be disturbing and inappropriate.
Yeah.
But that is this kind of satanic licentiousness, the depravity, the hedonism that the Fire Gang had done. But they haven't actually built anything. They're just dancing around a campfire in the woods. Would you like to be with these people that can take their heads off and are trying to fill you up the entire time? No. But that's the kind of crowd you'll fall in with if you try and abandon all responsibility and just party the rest of your life.
It's interesting you say hedonism and partying, because one of the things, this is just a bit of my opinion here. I've never heard anyone else say this, but just my opinion, and it's not explicitly said or even really hinted at exactly, but I think it's there, is that there's some sort of metaphor about drugs and things with the Fire Gang, like throw your head. You've got to throw your head around. You've got to be crazy. There's no
wiggle in the middle. Yeah,
there's no sort of limit to the craziness or how much you can sort of debase your own body.
exactly.
A little bit like that. And join in. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, misery loves company.
All right. Yeah, and it's just great that she sort of immediately is not interested in that.
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.